Hi, besties. How was your 4th of July weekend? Probably better than Kyle and Mauricio Umansky's weekend. I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm not sure what else I can do at this point because, well, friends, we're here we're going to call it the emergency episode. I did one on Scandival, and, well, here we are. I am going to very much start the top of this episode with a few things here because the deep dive I went on, I'm a little nervous to even share some of the things that are alleged in this relationship because I want to very much remind everyone that this is going to involve a family. There are 4 children, and yes, I realize that 3 of those children are over the age of 21. Got it. But at any age, you are still your parent's child, and that's going to affect you, anything that's going on with them. I'm going to put a very large alleged on this, and that while I have gathered this information, it is not all of my own research. Of course, a lot of it is. This is really odd. So let's just. Okay. I had a follower tell me that they wanted me to kind of start from the beginning for anyone who hasn't been necessarily watching Beverly Hills, let's say, as closely as some of us have, right? So I'm going to start off with that, kind of give some backstory here. So if you already know all of this, just bear with me. Won't take long. We're going to get there. Kyle Richards is one of the 3 sisters, not the K sisters that you are thinking of originally as in Kardashian, but they all start with the letter K: Kim, Kathy, and Kyle. They were child actors. Most specifically, Kim was Kim Richards, and Kathy, Kyle's other sister, is Kathy Hilton, Paris Hilton's mother. So Kyle Richards was certainly, and she was a child actress as well. She was on Little House on the Prairie. She did an episode or two of, no, like one episode of ER. She was the little girl in Halloween, and as those of us who are longtime watchers know, she's been reprising her role as the grown-up little girl from Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis. And so Kyle was certainly someone who was kind of perfect to be who is now an OG of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I believe she is the only remaining OG. I think she and Teresa Giudice are the only remaining OGs of franchises that have lasted over, let's say, I think 5 years. Okay, so the premise when she joined was she's very much a family gal. She is married to her husband, Mauricio Umansky, and they have 3 biological daughters together, and she has her other daughter, Farah, who is also on the show that Mauricio has for his real estate agency called, how ingenious, The Agency, on Netflix. And all of the daughters, well, the second youngest, I just forgot her name. And now you all are turning me off because you're like, you don't even know her daughter's names. But there is so much information bouncing in my head. Bear with me. Her 2 oldest daughters work at the agency, and this was a venture that really Mauricio got into real estate and being a broker, which in California, in order to be a broker, you have to be a real estate agent for at least 4 years, I believe it is, and you have to be working in real estate for 4 years, actively selling. And being a broker, especially in California, is almost akin to being an attorney. It's a higher level up. And with that, there was also a huge fallout between Kathy, her husband, and Kyle and Mauricio, because Mauricio used to work for Hilton and Highland, which is the real estate company or brokerage that obviously Mr. Hilton owns. And he ventured off, and it was like a huge thing of, taking clients, not taking clients. And Kathy's husband really felt slighted by him doing this. Okay. So there's all of that history. Kyle and Mauricio have been married for 27 years. This is her second marriage. They met at a nightclub, and she, at that point, had her young daughter, Farah, and then they went on to get married and have 3 girls together. Kyle and Mauricio have been almost like the apex of what we want to see a lasting marriage be on Housewives, especially as franchises where the norm is almost for these housewives and their husbands to end up divorcing within 3 seasons of being on the show. That's just typically what we end up seeing, if they're going to make it or they're not. And the list of housewives who got a divorce after coming on the show, it's endless, okay? Okay. Now, I'm also going to, again, I'm going to sprinkle this word throughout here as much as possible. They're alleged, okay? There have been allegedly allegations, of Mauricio cheating on Kyle for years, okay? Kyle is a beautiful woman. She is a spitfire. She's the youngest of her 3 sisters. She's so petite, and she is like really all up in your business if you think you're going to come after her and her husband. It's part of why this is so shocking, everything that's going on, right? So, I mean, even in season 1, we saw Kyle at her annual white party grab a woman by the elbow who was hanging on Mauricio and whispering in his ear. But my problem here is Mauricio thought it was funny and cute to be polite to her. I'm sorry, if you're my man, that woman should have, one, never felt comfortable enough to hang on to you for that long. Look up the clip, friends. I want to play these clips, but YouTube, it will hit me for copyright and you won't ever get to see my video. It's such a pain in the ass. So there was that. In addition to that, and oh yeah, and Kyle like wagged her finger in this woman's face, kicked her out of the party. And Mauricio just was like, my wife's gonna get you. And that was it. Again, you are my man. You sure as shit better be like, excuse me, don't touch me. I am, the bubble of a taken man is a few more feet in front of me than you are. And you can call me crazy. I don't care. Then also, if you haven't heard of what the dinner party from hell was, that was also in season 1 when famed medium Alison Dubois at the time Camille Grammer's house, when Camille hosted all the women, and when I say at the time Camille Grammer, this was right before publicly it came out that she and Kelsey Grammer were divorcing. All of the ladies. This was Adrienne Maloof. It was Taylor. It was Lisa Vanderpump. It was Kim Richards. It was, who am I forgetting? Obviously Kyle. And then another one of Camille's friends. She had kind of reddish hair and I can't remember her name, but she was a very good friend to Camille. And then it was Alison Dubois, who very much had red hair. And Alison Dubois is sitting there smoking on her e-cig. And she'd had a few margs, and allegedly the show Medium that Patricia Arquette starred in is based off of Alison Dubois. That's what she claimed. And Alison was like on one that night, okay? Now, does that mean that I do not want desperately to hire her to tell me what's going on with my life? Abso-fucking-lutely. Give me all your crazy and all of your predictions and tell me what to do. Help. With that being said, Alison Dubois is the one who had the margarita in front of her and was like looking at Kyle when Kyle was saying, oh, what are you picking up on? Because Kyle was expecting her to do her whole psychic medium thing as a party trick, as if she were the clown for this dinner party, which I'm sorry, I think that's kind of rude to begin with. To be honest, it was. And I'm also going to preface all of this with, I don't dislike Kyle Richards. I actually am one of the few people who kind of likes her. Something about her is innately likable to me personally. Now, she may hate me after this podcast, and I'm very sorry, Kyle. I'm just trying to give information that I found, and I'm putting a lot of alleged, and you are welcome to, I typically am not interested in having current housewives or current Bravo celebrities on my podcast because I like to stay unbiased as possible. But sure, if you're feeling so inclined, I doubt it. Come talk to me. Again, doubt you will. Little old me here. Okay, and Alison Dubois says to Kyle, he will never, referring to Mauricio, he will never emotionally fulfill you. Know that. She also said to Kyle, You two will stay together. You will build a life together. And he will provide for you. And as soon as the kids are older, you will have nothing in common anymore. I have goosebumps. Because the number of psychics that have predicted housewives' relational demises on Bravo is very frightening, and also should tell you something. Okay. Now, again, when it comes to Kyle and Mauricio, why it's hitting the Bravo community so hard. This was the couple like that you could not imagine they would ever break up, even though we had been hearing these these cheating rumors for years. And that's going to bring, I'm just going to start here. Now, I'm going to ask y'all to bear with me. When I say I have 25 pictures, 25 screenshots I took of allegations of him cheating, of a timeline of the cheating allegations. It is, wow. I'm going to start with Reddit. There was even a thread from 3 years ago. Again, this is all alleged. This person could mean F all to anyone, okay? I'm not trying to be reckless with my information here. I'm just trying to go ahead and let you know what's going on, all right? This girl alleges that he hooked up with her Latina friend in Vail when they were on a ski trip. Now, they have a house in Vail. I don't know if y'all recall from last year. Hello. Was it Vail? No, I'm sorry. They were in Aspen. So let me backtrack here. But they are in Aspen right now. Vail, it's not close to Aspen, but it's closer than Denver is, all I can say. But this girl alleges that she and Mauricio were talking, that her friend and Mauricio were talking some Spanish with each other, and because he is Spanish, and Kyle actually knows Spanish quite well. He is Spanish and Jewish, and so is Kyle. So there was that. Now, also Dana Wilkie, if you don't remember who she is, she was on Beverly Hills. What season was that? It was the season when Brandy came on hobbling with her crutches. Was it season 3 or 4? Maybe 3. Hobbling with her crutches, and they were at Dana Wilkie's like game night, and that's the night that Kyle and Kim were pointing their fingers at Brandy Glanville and calling her a slut pig and all of that. Now, on apparently what is episode 37 of Dana Wilkie's Patreon, because Dana has a podcast. Oh yeah, and Dana also went to prison. Let's just, I'm not going to skip over that or forget that this is part of the source. And she also is the one that was wearing the sunglasses that, can you believe, 25,000, 25,000, 25,000. That chick, okay? Hard to forget. This is where another odd thing, I know exactly who this was, who was on her podcast, and I believe her Instagram handle is something like Princess Samira, and she is a billionaire heiress that does like memes, and I know she had actually been friends with someone I know that does memes, and they were going to hang out and all of this stuff, and it was really interesting. Now, this girl Samira alleged on Dana's podcast that Mauricio has this quote-unquote harem of bottle girls that work at Club Mount in Miami, and he has all of them sign NDAs, and she alleged that Kyle knows. I don't know. I have a hard time believing Kyle would know that and be cool with it. But that's another thing, is that Allison Dubois alleged that she has heard of all these stories that Kyle has allegedly worked her ass off to bury over the years. Because they say it's a small town because it's Kyle Richards in this town. I don't know her voice very well, but now, I'm going to also tell you guys that this current moment is about believing that Kyle cheated with a female. So, I'm just going to set this up here. And this is where we get there's a lot of information. This 2010 dinner party from hell. Camille did say regarding Mauricio, he loves his nannies. He loves more than just his nannies regarding Mauricio. And again, it was Alison Dubois saying he will never emotionally fulfill you, ever. Know that. He will never emotionally fulfill you, but you will stay with him and he will take care of you. And as soon as the kids are bigger, you'll have nothing in common. Yikes. Now, that was 2010, January of 2012. Oh, God. Kyle said in her book, which is called Life is Not a Reality Show, Keeping It Real with the housewife who does it all, darling. Because in this town, you have to do it all in Beverly Hills, but you get to have 12 nannies. Anyway, Kyle said in her book that she believes that if someone cheats and it was really one mistake, then that's a time in the relationship that you can give a pass. So, and listen, if this really was a one-time mistake and you did not put this person in jeopardy, personally think you should deal with it yourself and with God and not go and say, honey, look what I did, because I knew that this would ruin their relationship in their life. Right. Okay. So then we're going to jump forward again. That was in 2012. In April of 2013, there was some, oh God, I guess this is the year. This is the year, friends. This is where I learned some things that I guess I just didn't know. And I've been an avid Bravo bestie for a while, besties. Tess Broussard of Comedy Central's Kroll Show. Now, also, remember the source. It was Star Magazine that was saying this, okay? Claimed that she had this encounter with Mauricio a few years ago. So this would have been most likely 2010, 2009, maybe 8 that this girl is referring to, saying that Mauricio like beelined for them and that he was being very, very flirty. And he allegedly said to her, I'm married, but I stray once in a while. Yeah. Okay. Now, here is where, Jesus, 2013, they get hit real hard with it. Now, there were allegations, and this is an article from E! News. He told them at the at the Bravo upfronts that the portion of the Star Magazine report where they said he uses an exclusive credit card to buy drinks for women at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. He says, first of all, I don't even have a black Amex. Yeah, I'm so sure. Maybe then you didn't. I don't know, man. I would be immensely surprised if he did not have a black Amex, however you pronounce it. Now, that was April. Now, May 21st, 2013, this is the article when this particular article reference is dated, and this is an article from Radar Online and from Daily Mail, so there are two. Brandy brings up while they're filming that she had solid information to prove that Mauricio had been cheating on Kyle. Kyle was pissed, all right? She was like, I'm not listening to the girls, and she felt so betrayed by Lisa Vanderpump in particular, right? She even threatened to leave the show. Producers talked her down. This was like a whole thing, okay? And obviously, as we know, Kyle went ahead and stayed. Now, this is the one that I was like, what in the... I can't believe this. I didn't hear this. Maybe everyone else knew about this, and I just... who knows where I was. June 2013. Now, alleged, okay? I'm trying to take most of this with a grain of salt, but it's all on the internets, my friends. You can Google everything I'm speaking on here. So this is not me making the allegations. This is just where we're at. There is an article that is run, again, by Star Magazine, okay? And we all know that in this woman who is named Toni Newman. She is known as Mistress Terry. And she was a paid escort. She's transgender, and her escort partner was named Mistress Carmen. And they ran their sex business out of their apartment in Los Feliz. And she alleges that she and her partner had a threesome with Mauricio. That it was kind of like her partner brought him back to their, and I guess the other part of it was they were at the Roosevelt. And so her partner ended up bringing him back to their apartment, and they gave the option of him just sleeping with her partner or doing a threesome with the woman who's transgender and the partner. And he allegedly chose the threesome, and they dressed up like cops for him. I don't know. I'm having a hard time believing this totally, because this was also way back in the heyday of the like well, it's not clickbait then, but like pick up the magazine in the grocery store aisle, when it was ridiculous shit half the time. Now we only have to click on the articles and we see like, okay, this was a whole nothing burger. Very similar to how the People magazine statement was kind of a nothing burger, in case y'all didn't notice. So, we, yeah, he put the whole kibosh on this. He said, no, absolutely not. I'm committed. I'm faithful. It's vicious, ugly. Again, I'm not saying I believe those rumors. But, and I'm not judging someone who does that. It's just, it's a lot, friends. A lot. It's a deviation from who we believe and who we love as these people are, that the people that we believe they are and who we have come to know them as, I would say, on our television screens. Then in 2013, November, Lisa ends up bringing up the cheating rumors to Kyle in front of her family on camera. And I don't know if y'all remember this, but it was when Portia and Mauricio were sitting, and Portia was like sitting on the counter, I think, in their kitchen or something. They came in from running errands is what it was. And Lisa says to Kyle, oh, this must be the younger woman that the tabloids are all referring to. And it was like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. Again, Brandy brings up later that month, and Lisa tries to explain more in the confessionals, and this was that season in particular. And this is where also basically Kyle ends up, and this was at the reunion, I believe it was in 2014, where Kyle's defending herself and her husband and all of that. And also in 2014, do you remember when Lisa Vanderpump was blamed for the tabloids, that whole cast trip they went on, and Brandy brought the tabloids or something to the trip. And this was, bear with me, y'all, this was literally almost 10 years ago. So I'm just recalling this from my memory and have my notes on just remembering, this point. But Brandy had claimed that Lisa told her to put the tabloids in her suitcase. Yeah. Then we go to 2016. And again, a new report comes out that Mauricio was quote unquote caught cheating with some mystery woman at LA Fashion Week, but this in front of everyone, and he was getting her number, and Kyle claimed like on Twitter, she was like, no, absolutely not. I actually asked him to get her number for me, which is also weird, but I'm not sending my man to go get another woman's number. That's bizarre. And all of that. Again, it was shot down. Now in 2020, Kendra Wilkinson starts working at the agency, which I don't know if y'all have seen that HBO Max, she has a real estate show on HBO Max. I thought that was so bizarre and so random. Now, this is where I'm a little annoyed, because I'm like, okay, are y'all just reaching because she was a Playboy bunny and, was in a relationship with Hugh Hefner? Like, that's really, that's a reach, and that's just trying to put something very unfair on a woman just because of some sort of history she has and whatnot. I don't know. I'm a little, but there are a lot of claims that they hooked up. I just have a hard time believing that. Hard time. Okay. So again, I already mentioned that podcast that Samira went on, and we're gonna also backtrack again in a minute here when it comes to Kyle's cheating allegations. Jesus. So around April of 2022 last year, we don't see a lot of Kyle wearing her rings anymore. Actually, it was in February. But There is a photo on Instagram, April 24th, 2022, where Kyle has this cute luggage. I forget the name of the brand, and they have lemons all over them. And it has her initials, KRU. It's the matching bag and suitcase. And she looks darling. She's at a hotel, all of it. Here's the thing, is later on, she ends up having bags on a trip that's a girl's trip that the U for Umansky is removed. Okay. So in May, there are new cheating allegations that are against May of 2022 against Mauricio about him supposedly being out and about in Dallas with some girl and a lot of allegations, a lot of blinds. I remember reading several blinds on Dumois that it was like, no, surely this isn't about Mauricio hooking up with some girl in Canada, saying his name was Mark. Yeah. Now, there are also allegations of them being swingers and that being part of it. Listen, if that's your thing, fine. There's just been a lot of shaming of other people's sexual choices, I feel like, on her end. But, okay. And then how could we forget back last year in like August, September, when people were trying to say that Dorit and Mauricio were having an affair? I believe that zero as well. Okay. I'm just kind of giving y'all the information. Again, not saying I believe all of it. Now, okay, I'm just moving on here. Now, this was in January of this year. Kyle is on a girls' trip to Mexico where the girls, it looks like she must have gifted all the girls some cute little bags that most likely are by the same company that made the ones I was referring to with the lemons that had her KRU, Kyle Richards Umansky. I'm looking at the picture right now. You can see, I don't know what Teddy's last name, married name is, but you can see that Kyle's is the only one that I can see in this photo on Instagram that only has 2 letters in her initials. So it's not that she was only doing 2 letters, nothing. You see Teddy's say TMA, which is Teddy Mellencamp. I forget the last name. Then another girl, it's NMD, and Kyle's is up front, and it only has KR for Kyle Richards, so there's no more Umansky. Now, this was in April. Mauricio's shooting down the rumors that they're divorcing and all the cheating rumors. He's like, this is bullshit, this speculation, whatever. And then I'm going to hop on over here. This is where it also gets a little odd. There is a very good-looking country singer named Morgan Wade. I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to start in on the Morgan Wade rumors. So, see you in just a moment. Bear with me. There's a lot more to cover. Okay. Morgan Wade. So, allegedly, Kyle and Morgan Wade, the singer, who is, from what I understand, known to be gay. Now, I'm not going to totally speculate on people's sexuality. I don't think that's fair. I think we can do better than that in 2023. But we're going to say informational purposes, here's where we're at. Because someone who was allegedly Morgan's ex-girlfriend has publicly spoken about their relationship and things like that. Allegedly, Kyle and Morgan met in February of 2022, started hanging out a lot. Then one of Kyle's oldest friends dies by suicide, which I'm sorry, I should have given a trigger warning. And it was terrible. And, Kyle very openly is saying she's starting therapy. And this, I'd say it was like, I think it was like May. No, I'm sorry. It was February. Yeah, February, March. Oh my gosh. Sorry, friends. This is the part where I got a little bit mixed up. We're looking at May from what I recall. Beverly Hills starts airing, okay? And Kyle stops posting very many photos of Mauricio on her Instagram feed, like on the permanent feed. And really, like one of the last few photos of her actually next to Mauricio in a photo is in July of 2022. Now, a lot of this is coming from at Face Reality 16. If you want to go check out her highlights, I'm kind of summarizing this and sprinkling in a lot more stuff because we've still got some time here. And it was around, I'd say, we're looking at August that we really start seeing a physical change in Kyle. Now, it's also around this time that Kyle said she stopped drinking and drinking alcohol after she got off of a boat one day and was like, I just feel awful. I'm cutting alcohol, sugar, and carbs. Okay. So, then it was about September, October that we really see Kyle dressing a lot edgier, doing those edgy photo shoots. She also went as Morgan Wade's +1 to the CMAs. October is when those particular photos, did you see the ones where by photo book and one of them, she's got the ponytail. It was very Kim Kardashian-esque. And then the other one where she's got both of her arms wrapped around an elusively naked man with one of her legs wrapped around him. And it's supposed to kind of look like she's naked as well. And she's got like these intense like claw-like rings. And it's a pretty intense photo. In the caption, she had claimed got approval from the family chat. So, go trolls can go F themselves, leave me alone. Okay. Then in November, she then goes with Morgan to Atlanta and she hangs out with Morgan's family, meets her younger siblings. There are pictures of this as well. Then in December, Kyle goes solo to the People's Choice Awards, and that's when she is looking incredibly thin. That is when it is first noticeable. You don't see her really wearing her rings, and she's wearing that black kind of like feathered top. And she then, December to January is being accused of taking Ozempic. And this is when she tells everyone, no, actually, I stopped drinking alcohol and I don't eat sugar or carbs or anything. Which, listen, I hate this part, but it's literally like diet is 80% of how you get in shape. And that infuriates me because I love food and I want to eat my food. And I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't think my body's going to change that much unless I take such drastic measures that I'm miserable every day. And I don't want to be miserable. So, okay, this isn't about me. Sorry. Then we get to, someone asked, yes, backtracking. This is in January, that same month. Kyle, that trip I was talking about where she had the monogrammed bag that no longer had the U for Umansky on her initials. That same month in January, Kyle, Morgan Wade, Teddy Mellencamp, one of the coaches that is at All In with Teddy. Her name's Jen, a woman named Jana. She's with Kyle a lot. And there was another person, I believe, that went on this trip to Mexico. So the post that Morgan put up from this trip, they're on the private jet. And the very first picture is of her sitting in Kyle's lap. Now, this is about the time that I am going to be fully transparent and candid here. Friends, I was like, something is odd about this. Not that... maybe, I don't know, maybe I didn't want to be ignorant by saying anything, obviously. But we don't normally see a Beverly Hills housewife who is very, family oriented with the husband who's the real estate broker and who has her daughters and is very like, I don't know, I don't want to say uppity, but and not conservative, but it just didn't flow together for me for her to have a younger woman who's quite attractive with tattoos that are up her neck, even on the sides of her face, sitting in her lap. It was odd to me, and it shouldn't be, but it did raise something to me. I'm just fully being candid here. But I thought, Caitlin, you're being an ignorant asshole. What, like, just because two people could possibly be attracted to each other doesn't mean they can't hang out all the time, a lot. So there are more photos of Morgan sitting on other housewives' laps, or, I should say Teddy's lap, and then like another sharing a seat with another girl. It was just, but those felt like decoys to me. Okay. And February, then, well, someone commented on this post of Morgan's and said, like, oh my gosh, I love this. How do you know these housewives? And Morgan's like, oh, they just love my music and they got to know me and we become great friends. Like, surprising friendships can come out of nowhere. And Kyle claimed on another post where it was allegedly the first time meeting, which would have been February of 2022. This post where Kyle says, this is our first time meeting in person. I listened to Morgan's music while driving from Utah to California or something like that, or Utah to Colorado. Listened to the whole way and we finally get to meet in person. But then on another post, Morgan says that she had known Kyle for 2 years. Which one is it? Okay. Because that would have been February of 2022 that they allegedly met. So is it 2 years or is it a year? So then, it's a lot, friends. I know. So in February of this year, there's a post on Morgan's page where she and Kyle went to Universal Studios for like the Trolls movie or something. And someone commented under the post, so glad you got some Kyle time. Okay. It still could indicate that they are just very dear friends. Kyle makes fast friends with people, okay? It's still a possibility. I'm just going to give you all the information, all right? Now, March, end of February of this year is when Beverly Hills starts filming again, and it's like right around then, Scandival happens, right? So we're totally consumed. We're going to go ahead and fast forward all the way to June 27th of this year. And that is when At Face Reality 16 is putting together this whole thing together, right? The biggest thing to me was at the reunion last year. I can't remember which part of it, so bear with me. Andy asks Kyle about her tattoos that she just got. She got 3 of them. And she said she was in New York working recently at this time, and she just never had one, and she wanted to get one, and she got 3. The first one, she explains, is like, I don't know, on like her forearm or something, and it's the Roman numeral 18, and she says it's because every single one of her daughters has the numbers 1 and 8 in their birth dates. Then she goes to a heart tattoo that is kind of on the outside of her hand, wrist, and it's a very specific type of looking heart, although it could be slightly general, just saying. All she says about that one is, and then I got this heart tattoo because, well, it just means something special to me. And she gets a little blushy and stops on that, and then immediately goes down to the tattoo that she got on the inside of her ankle that is a moon with 4 stars. And she says the 4 stars represent her 4 daughters. What you can see on Morgan Wade is Morgan has the exact same heart tattoo on the outside of her hand. You heard me. Something else is that Morgan has a lot of tattoos. Bear with me here. Morgan also recently got, fairly recently, less than a year ago, the letter K on her arm. Now, here are the theories. It's just wild, right? So obviously the theories are that both, like, this is kind of like people saying, oh, well, Kyle's pulling a Bronwyn Wyndham Burke. Remember that? When Bronwyn got sober, she realized she was actually gay and that she'd been drinking through certain times. Now, here's the thing. Kyle, we never saw her being belligerently drunk. We've never really looked at Kyle thinking she had a problem, although addiction runs genetically, and we know Kim has had issues with addiction. So could it be that it was hidden? Well, yes. Do I think it was? No. I don't think Kyle had an actual problem with alcohol. I think she enjoyed her especially her spicy margaritas, all of that. I think she just said, I'm going to cut it out to try and get in shape and feel better and just be happy, I guess. But that's, and also Morgan Wade is 6 years sober, I believe. So she is a sober person as well. Now, another theory that has Melissa Gorga shaking in her boots, if you know, you know, is that Morgan is Kyle's long-lost half-sister. Because when you Google Morgan and Morgan Wade's parents, it says her dad is unknown. Now, what we do know is that Kyle, Kathy, and Kim's father abandoned those 3 girls and their mother when they were younger. And the thing is, too, though, that I don't know, Morgan, I think it was that Kyle's father would had to have been 77 years old when she was born, She's still in her 20s. Is it impossible? No. I mean, listen, we've got Robert De Niro, we've got Al Pacino having babies, and they're in their 70s. So it's possible. I'm not saying it's not. But it also could explain why she only got the letter K, because guess what? All three sisters have the letter K, and it could be for all three sisters. That's a possibility. Now, people have also been speculating, though, that Kyle and Morgan are wearing matching rings because Kyle stopped wearing her wedding bands. It looks like she stopped. Well, let me say this. She stopped wearing the stack with her engagement ring in it. And one of those bands could be her wedding band. Okay. She's only been wearing one. Now, Morgan wears a very similar looking band on that ring finger. And I'm not totally convinced that Kyle's and hers matches. I'm not convinced. I think we've all got PTSD from Scandival. So we're looking for all the symbols. Okay. So then, all of this came out June 27th, this whole thing of like the investigating now, like the internet's on fire over the 4th of July weekend regarding, oh my God, is Kyle, bisexual? Is she lesbian? Like trying to speculate about what's going on. And then on, Monday, July 3rd, People magazine releases a quote unquote exclusive saying that Kyle and Mauricio are quote unquote separated. Okay. People magazine is a reliable news source to me when it comes to pop culture news. I 1000% would say it is. I trust them quite a bit. I trust them more than I trust Star Magazine. 1000%. Okay. So, I believe them. Now, I want you to pay attention to the wording here. Okay. I said that People magazine, their headline was, Kyle and Mauricio have separated after 27 years of marriage. Kyle and Mauricio released a statement together on Monday, July 3rd, while they're in Aspen together as we speak. Okay? This is what the statement says. In regards to the news that came out about us today, ... Any claims regarding us divorcing are untrue. Do they deny separating? No. Because they then go on to say, however, yes, we have had a rough year, the most challenging one of our marriage, but we both love and respect each other tremendously. There has been no wrongdoing on anyone's part. Referring to cheating, possibly? Although we are in the public eye, we ask to be able to work through our issues privately. While it may be entertaining to speculate, please do not create false stories to fit a further salacious narrative. Thank you for the love and support. Kyle and Mauricio. Okay. They were also photographed having dinner by themselves on Monday after this statement, after the exclusive saying that they were separating was released, and also after releasing the statement. Is it a PR stunt? I don't believe it is. Is it a PR move to release information like this over holiday weekends? Yes, I can confirm that. Because I did ask some followers, do I have anyone who works in PR, all of that. But on top of that, as I'm saying this, do y'all remember in the finale of last year when they were at Kyle's party, the ladies were, and they were accusing Erica's team of leaking information, and they were referring to Erica's publicist as leaking information, and it's the same publicist that Nikki Hilton uses, okay? Erica and Nikki have the same publicist, and they were accusing Erica's publicist of leaking the information about the alleged meltdown that Kathy Hilton had in Aspen. So it seemed odd that Nikki Hilton's own publicist would do that. So I don't know, okay? That being said, Kyle says in the moment that she does not have a publicist. Now, this would have been filmed, again, like a year and a half. Well, now, let's see, when it was airing, it would have been close to a year prior. So almost 2 years ago, Kyle was very much like, well, I don't have a publicist, making it seem kind of silly that, why would they have publicists? Now, I had to look and see if she still had a publicist. This is also something that's interesting, too. As I was looking, I'm probably just going to give you more information than you even need. Kyle's personal assistant of 7 years actually stopped working for her last year in July. Last year in July is the same time that Kyle allegedly decided to become sober, and when she stopped posting really any photos of Mauricio to her Instagram feed, especially any new photos of her and Mauricio together. Don't know. A little weird. But I did get my information from LinkedIn. And while I was doing that, guess what? Now here's another full circle moment. IMDb. Yep, there are different types of accounts you can have with IMDb. Because of my history with acting, I have an IMDb Pro account. Pretty much anyone can have one, okay? So I went and looked. Kyle does have a publicist now. She sure does. Her publicist is Alex Spieler, and Alex doesn't have a ton of high-profile clients. I would say Kyle is one of his most well-known. He was a producer on Colton Underwood's show, Coming Out Colton. Odd. Now, something else that came out was another blind that was out there was that they put the statement out to People magazine saying they were separating, and then they, as in Kyle and Mauricio, and they immediately regretted it and then wanted to take it back. Okay. So aside from Kyle now having a publicist, when a year and a half ago or so, she said she didn't, Mauricio and Kyle took out a second mortgage on the home they own. And so you're like, okay, if they have money, honey, they have money. They have like vacation home in Mexico, vacation home in Aspen type of money. She owns multiple Birkin bags kind of money. And he is a real estate broker. So why on earth would they need to take out a second mortgage on their home when he most likely has a lot of liquid assets, okay? Well, this is a practice known as a divorce mortgage buyout. And if this is the case, then this would mean that they have been working on this for a while and they knew this was coming, and it takes some time to get this down. Something else to note is Kyle and Mauricio do not have a prenup. They've been open about saying that. So a divorce mortgage buyout, what is it? I'm going to do my best to explain this from what I understand. Best example is, let's say the principal loan is for $100,000. I mean, I highly doubt theirs would only be for $100,000, but you know. Okay, let's say it was for $100,000 and it was that Kyle wants to stay in the marital home because you have to divide the home up. It's considered an asset just like anything else, just like they could decide, okay, you keep the Aspen home, I keep the Mexico home, right? So let's say that the principal loan is for $100,000. Then the equity they've put into the home is at $100,000. We'll just keep it even. The person doing the buyout would end up being end up being Kyle. And that, again, if Kyle were choosing to stay in the marital home by not wanting to move Portia and everything like that, because Portia's only 15. So let's say that's what she's doing. They take out the second mortgage in both of their names. And what happens is, and this only happens in very amicable divorces as well, okay? The second mortgage would have to be in the amount of $150,000. Why? Because the principal loan was $100,000, and then for Kyle to be able to buy out Mauricio's half of the equity, it would be the $50,000. So $100,000 to cover principal, $50,000 to buy out his half of the equity. Again, this move is what tells us they've been working on this for a while. And this was not them getting another mortgage in the way that Lisa Brenna and Harry were getting a second mortgage, okay? Which also that news just came out. Okay, so what do we know? We know that Kyle has a very good friend that happens to have mentioned that they are gay. They may be bisexual. Who knows? What we also know is that Mauricio has been accused of cheating for many, many years. Many, many people have come forward with allegations of it. We have nothing proven. And they say that there's nothing to be proven because he makes everyone sign NDAs. Again, we don't have any solid evidence one way or the other. What we do have is a reliable source like People magazine saying that they are separated. And with that, we've been hearing a lot that, yes, they've been separated for a while, living in the same house, just being respectful of each other. Trying to give space to each other. And it's been a difficult year for them. We also know they have children who are involved in this, and we want to be respectful of that. We also know that they, for the most part, are a beloved couple on Bravo. We want to see them win, but sometimes winning is not always together. Sometimes winning is separately. I tried to give y'all as much information as I could. I want to blanket this again with allegedly. Go follow Besties by Bravo on TikTok, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube. Check out the Etsy shop. Check out the website. Let me know what you think. Tell me what else you want to know. I tried to cover all of your questions that came in through my DMs and really tried to cover it all. And again, what we do know is something's going on there after all of that, right? And we also know I need Allison Dubois to give me a reading ASAP. Jeez. Also, could you leave like a nice review? I know we always forget to leave reviews. I forget to, and I try and remember to go on all of anyone I like their podcast. I try and remember to give them a 5-star review, whether I liked it or not. I believe in karma. Okay. So I will be back recording for Orange County, and it'll be a little more lighthearted. This was just so informational. Thanks for listening, besties, and I will see you in a day or two. Okay. Bye.